We want an equal life, let us live.
I'm Molly. I'm the interviewer. I have brown and blonde hair tied up. I'm wearing all black, basically, and I wear glasses. I'm with my mum, Dennis Queen. You want to describe yourself?
Yeah, so I've just had my hair cut at the barber, so I've got quite a big quiff and a short back and sides everywhere else. I'm wearing a red and black stripy hoodie in Dennis the Menace colours, because I'm renamed after Dennis the Menace, and I'm wearing purple glasses, and behind us is a trans pride flag and a new, more inclusive rainbow LGBTQI pride flag, which includes the brown and black stripes, and all over the top of it are some fairy lights, because we have fairy lights all year in our house.
Definitely the best type of lighting ever to exist, in my opinion. So we're here today to talk about protest, and specifically my mum, who is a disabled political activist. So I'm basically here to ask you questions, really, Mum. My first one is, when did you start protesting?
So I think my first protest was in the year 2000, after I'd been in the coalition a few years, and through that found out about DAN, the Disabled People's Direct Action Network, and I really wanted to get involved in that. I felt like it was something I would be good at, because it's quite natural to me not to follow the rules. So I got involved in the Disabled People's Direct Action Network, and my first protest that I went on with them was in Newcastle and Gateshead.
Wow, what was that protest about?
So we were there, it was part of the Free Our People campaign we were doing, and so we were there to talk to local authorities about institutions and making sure that independent living is available for people. And while we were there, we laid about 1,100 crosses for people that had died in institutions in Newcastle and Gateshead recently. And so our message kind of was that we didn't think people should have to live and die in an institution, that we should have choice, that everyone should have choice about where they live, and be able to live in independence if they want to.
No, that's a really good protest. Did that have an effect on any changes? Did any changes happen because of that protest?
I don't know if it made any direct changes in that instance. I don't know if we had, I don't remember if we had our demands met, because this is my very first protest, so I was still learning about what went on. I can't remember if local authorities made any changes to anything in particular, but it isn't always, I mean, we always have demands, and even if they don't get met, we still think that it is really important to do these kind of protests, because it's important to show people that we will fight back, and that we won't just take it, and also it brings it hopefully shows other disabled people that we can fight back locally. So although we don't always achieve sort of politically what we want from our demands, we still often create quite an effect by what happens just from people observing us in the town and people being aware of what's going on. It still has an impact, and it still creates change.
Yeah, it's definitely positive change as well, because it makes people realise that, disabled people are here to stay. We're not meant to be enclosed away from everyone, and we can create change just as much as non-disabled people who protest can also create change.
Yeah, and we do, and some you win and some you lose, and some you just get some of what you wanted. But I think all of them make a difference. All campaigns are really, really important.
Definitely. What do you think is an important part of campaigning and protest?
How do you mean? Can you explain the question a little bit?
Yeah, so say like for me, for example, I've not done much protesting. So if a beginner, you know, like a new young disabled person, for example, you know, comes up to you and say, hey, I want to start protesting, what are like the basics that you would recommend for me to do or look into?
So I would say find your local network of people that do that kind of activism. If you can, find your local coalition of disabled people or similar, because even if they don't directly do protesting themselves, they'll be probably doing campaigns that other organisations might be doing protests about, and they can let you know what's going on. Like say in Manchester, if you ask the coalition what's going on protest-wise, they'd be able to tell you there's been work going on around the Peterloo Memorial, that there's work that DPAC are doing protests around at the moment around austerity, and they'd be able to let you know what's going on, and we try and keep people in contact with what's going on. So like at the coalition, they might report what Disabled People Against Cuts are doing, so then you know who's doing protesting. And Disabled People Against Cuts has got a local cell, so which is called Manchester Disabled People Against Cuts, and everyone's welcome to come and join that. And we organise and join in with other so we organise some protests and we join in with other protests as well. For example, when the Conservative Party has been having their conferences here every year recently, we go and protest at those, but we're not the only organisation that does it. So it might be Disabled People Against Cuts might be there, there might be people there campaigning about the NHS, there'll be people there campaigning about housing and homelessness, there'll be people there campaigning against capitalism, and all kinds of different things. So and probably Labour Party campaigners and things like that. So we're just one of many organisations that kind of come together at a time like that to protest the government and tell them all the things that we want, all the different campaigns that are going on.
Oh, nice.
So what else did you need to know? So that might be how do you find out? That's a way to find out. And then what else do you need to know? You need to know that you've got to bring a spare pair of shoes if you're staying overnight, because it almost certainly will rain and you will get wet through.
The rainy city, Manchester.
Waterproofs are the staple wardrobe of disabled activists. We might end up outside a long time, so like having a good waterproof coat and maybe some waterproof trousers, they're really essential. Always bring more meds than you need in case something goes wrong. And the main thing is just connect with other people that are doing it so they can support you, sort of how to learn the kind of protesting that you're doing, because there's more than one kind of protest. There's some legal protests that go on, then there's protests that aren't legal that go on, and then there's things like non-violent civil disobedience, which are quite striking protests where you might deliberately do something that's against the law, like maybe blocking up a building so people can't get in, or blocking up a major road junction or something like that. So that would be the big thing, is mainly just connect with the other local activists, and they will help you know what you need for the kind of protests they do.
So what sort of creative things could someone do if they're creatively inclined and they want to make something to do with the protest? Because I know you do a lot of stuff like that.
I do a little bit.
Throughout my childhood, I remember you doing placards on the floor, you're getting ready for protests.
So gosh, I wish I'd brought some to show you. I would say the creative ways you can get involved in protesting is that a lot of protesting networks, before they go out and do a protest, will often have a meet-up to make placards and things.
Nice.
And sometimes that's been at our house, as you will remember. So you've seen me laying out banners and laying out. So we might make placards, like, why don't you grab that one there? I mean, there's always some nearby in the house. It's never that long since I last went on a protest, so I took that one, made that extremely quickly on the way to a protest the other week where we were speaking with who was running that protest. I'm taking this off because there's something else underneath. I reuse a lot of my placards. And this one is actually beautiful. It was made by someone else at my house. It was made by Pete Marshall, who's another person on the exec. And he made all these beautiful we made bee stencils and word stencils. But I tend to make a lot of cardboard placards, because sometimes the police will take them away on a protest, and
Oh, we need to take this
so
off.
you want to make sure that if you need to, it's something that you don't mind losing. So you don't want it to be the most precious thing ever, but sometimes it's nice to put a bit of time into making something lovely. So Pete had designed a bunch of these for a protest we went on, where there'd been serious abuse had been proved at a nursing home.
Yeah, I remember all of that.
Right,
Yeah.
so Pete came over and we made these stencils, and these were done with spray paint. And so this one says, we want oversight, and then it's got 2 B's at the bottom, because we wanted to show that we were local, so we were from Manchester. And it just meant that that's talking about how, you know, the only person that overlooks what's going on, has oversight into what's going on in a lot of institutions, are people like the Care Quality Commission, but there's no, disabled people don't have any oversight. We don't get to help manage these sort of places, and we felt that that was something we should have. I'm going to pop that behind us, look. There you go, and that can stay there, maybe, if it will. That should be all right. And the one that was on top, I made very quickly. That's why I wanted to show you the nice one, because that was one I made extremely quickly on the way to another protest. So I stuck this over the top, and it's got a DPAC logo, and it says, "We will fight back. Join us now." And it's got our website address, which is www.dpac.uk.net. So www.dpac.uk.net. And then a second one that I very quickly drew because I was in a big hurry, that just says, "Class war, fight back." And so that was from a protest that we went to that was organised by People's Assembly and Unite, which is a unions organisation, and that was about cost of living crisis.